Welcome to TechZine TV.
Welcome to TechZine TV. We're at Agentforce World Tour in Amsterdam. We're talking to Reinier van Leuken. He's Senior Director Product Management Agentforce at Salesforce, of course. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
Long title.
Yeah, it's a long title.
Very important.
Yeah. Maybe we can ask AI to shorten it.
That would be good. Yeah.
You just gave a keynote here about the Agentic enterprise.
Yeah.
Can you tell us in a real short summary what it was about?
Well, it was all about how companies are transforming in such a way that teams no longer consist only of people, but of people and fully digital autonomous colleagues. Right? So we've seen all these examples of how you can work with an assistant that does some tasks for you. But we're already moving towards now this future where these agents are working autonomously on themselves, serving customers or helping employees or just doing work in the background. So the Agentic enterprise is about that situation where humans and agents together work in the enterprise.
Yeah, and your role within Salesforce, you already said it, you have a very long, important title. You're one of the guys that knows how AI really operates deeply on the background, right?
That's right, because I'm part of our product management organization. So I'm responsible for building the platform that our customers use. And this platform we call Agentforce 360. So that's one of our Salesforce products.
Mhm.
And I'm indeed in the product development organization for that platform. So we bring new capabilities, not anymore 3 times a year as we used to do at Salesforce, but now every 2 weeks, new version of the platform comes available. And customers can take advantage of new features to build these agents.
I think that's an interesting thing that you're saying, because I've been talking to many people about this in the past couple of weeks. About the rapid deployment rates of the platforms nowadays, right? Because as an organization, when you get a new version of a platform, you wanna make sure everything works correctly, and you wanna make sure you test everything, and so this new deployment rates puts a different strain or a different different effects on how organizations deal with updates, right? How does that play into how much you can deploy every time you deploy a new version?
Well, certainly we have to enable our entire ecosystem to then take advantage of these features,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the benefit, of course, of a cloud platform like Salesforce is that we can push new features without breaking any configurations or agents that are already out there in our customers' realities. So in that sense, it's a seamless upgrade. We just deliver new features and improved versions of the product. But then to take advantage of these new features, of course, our customers need to train themselves, understand what they do and how to best use them. And for that, you're right, it's a lot to take in, but there is no other way about it. This is today's reality. The technology is moving so quickly, and we cannot just hold back these features, right? We need to remain relevant also to our customers and deliver these new features at that pace. So instead, what we do is deliver training materials online. We host events like these, which are very hands-on. You know, there's all these kind of stations where customers can try the product and see how it looks and feels and build agents. So that's how we also invest in the market and keeping our customers up to date.
Yeah. So what makes Agentforce's platform unique in the agentic space? And we have somebody just passing by here. It's always nice.
Happens.
It's a gonzo journalism. Very good. No, so what makes Agentforce unique in your view in terms of the technology underneath it, or just to give us an impression of that?
Yeah, well, there are a couple of things. So one thing that I would definitely call out is that, like no other, of course, Salesforce is in the business of delivering technology that helps customers connect to their customers. So our customers connect to their customers in a whole new way, which means that we are in the world of enterprise processes. It's not just any agent. It's not just an agent to do just any task or, write poems for Sinterklaas, as we have coming up very soon in the Netherlands, as you know. It's a very dedicated enterprise agent for customer processes. And that also puts a different requirement, for example, on how reliable and accurate and predictable these agents are. And we all know that large language models, which are very key to agents, are not always behaving in the exact same way. Even if you ask the same question twice, you can get a different response because there is a level of creativity and fluidity, etc., in those agents. Now, when it comes to enterprise business processes, these creative answers are not always permissible, especially when it comes to obeying rules. Like every time a case closes, I want you to send out a survey report to my customer, or only give a customer access to their data once they're fully logged in and authenticated. These things, they are not instructions that you give a large language model. No, instead they are rules, right? So when we talk about reasoning, which is key to agents, that reasoning now for us is what we call hybrid reasoning, which means that we combine rules and logic and business rules with the fluidity of LLMs, making them predictable when they need to be and don't hallucinate over which actions they should trigger. And they are still creative when they can be to draft answers that, feel natural and human-like. So this blending of rules and LLM fluidity is certainly one thing where I think the Agentforce platform stands apart.
And then, as you say, it really helps that you have a very well-defined goal that you want to achieve, right? So you don't want to, like you say, you don't want them to write poems. So you have a very well-defined sort of constrained environment that you want to hit. Yeah.
Correct, and that's also why our customers can go very quickly, because these agents are very suitable for these types of processes that our customers run at scale.
But some customers might wonder, can you guarantee that it never goes off the chart, that it never spirals out of control and does things they don't want?
Right, and for that we have what we call the full support of the agentic lifecycle, because being in IT, people are naturally very focused on building stuff. But when it comes to agents, actually the building stuff is just the beginning. Then the lifecycle management starts. And to your point, we cannot guarantee that an agent will never do anything that we don't want it to do. And that's a reality we have to accept. However, what is super important is that we have the full monitoring and the full observability in place for those agents as they are deployed in the field, to keep track of what they are then doing. So we have a lot of those controlling agents as well. It's almost like one agent looking over the shoulder of another one and grading the conversations and seeing, are the responses relevant? Is it hallucinating, or is it actually saying things that are grounded in the data that we have given it? So there's a lot of control mechanisms in place in that observability framework, which is part of our platform as well, so that when these things happen, you can catch them in time. And also, if you see them happening, change configuration so that they happen less.
To be clear, you have some guardrails in place. So it should never happen that it sends out customer info of a different customer than when you're logging in.
Correct. Of course. Absolutely. Those things are simply not permissible, and those things will not happen.
Yeah, so that's not something an agent can do wrong.
Correct.
It can give a wrong answer to a question, but it cannot send out the wrong contact details or...
Correct, absolutely. So there are definitely those checks and balances to avoid that from happening. And even on the accuracy of answers, like I said, we have a lot of metrics that we calculate on the fly, in the runtime, using other AI technology. So deploying an agent really is a large orchestration mechanism of all these agents working together. And that's what we do for our customers in the platform.
We have to compare it with a human customer service agent giving the wrong answer to a question of a customer, because that also happens in practice.
That can also happen, of course. Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing.
Exactly.
When an agent goes wrong, it's probably something like that, and not sending out confidential information. Basically,
that's a very interesting analogy that you draw here, because we see indeed our customers currently recruiting agent supervisors, which are humans that oversee a large number of these agentic conversations to exactly catch these kind of things and then either fix it on the fly or support in the agent configuration so that it doesn't happen the next time around.
And from an observability in itself is a very important topic broadly in organizations nowadays, right? And I get that observability is also extremely important in what you're doing, right? So, but you developed that yourself, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, so we bring to the market a set of authoring tools that allow our customers to keep control of that entire lifecycle management. So we have observability tools for our agentic layer.
Specific things, not necessarily for anything else. So this is really observability for agentic environment.
For agentic environments, yes. And of course, we also have in our other areas of the product portfolio observability tools and all the ops that you need. But specifically for agents, we also have observability tools that allow you to monitor them in practice.
Because you also hear a lot about observability platforms that also offer this for agentic environments, right? So how does this, because you probably have a deeper understanding of your own processes than external observability platforms.
Correct. So it's deeper understanding of the actual processes, deeper understanding of the business processes that the customer already runs on that platform. Right? All the metadata is already in a harmonized way available also to the observability platform. So that makes it that observability can really go a level deeper and semantically check, is this stuff relevant that's now being brought to the customer? And also what we do is something that not many people realize, but Salesforce also trains very advanced large language models themselves, specifically for those helper functions.
Yeah.
So in our observability platform, we have LLMs that are trained by our research departments that do these observability checks on the fly and that are specifically trained for that purpose.
I think relevance is very interesting because relevance is one of the hardest things to get right.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a linguist by training, so I have a little bit of understanding of that subject. How do you make sure that you how does that work? So determining relevance in an agentic environment.
Yeah. So actually, we like to think of these things as being in a triangle, in a triad, because relevance has a relation to what is the user asking. It has a relation to what is the response that's being given, but it also has a relation to what data was available to generate that response with. And therefore, you have three pieces of information in this equation, and therefore also three relations. So we measure, for example, is the answer that's being given actually grounded in the data, even independent of what the user asked. That's an important check. Is it using that data? And then also, is the information that was retrieved relevant to the question that the user asked, independent of what response is being given? Because we see an over-rotation also on, is there a relevance between the answer and the question, which is, of course, the final check that you need to do, but those other checks are just as important.
And does it have a memory in the sense that it already knows the previous conversations it had with a customer? Because that also determines relevance to a certain extent as well, right? Because
Yes.
if you already gave an answer last week and that didn't work or whatever, he has another question. You don't want to give the same answer all the time. So
Correct.
how much memory does these things have? What do you think about?
So this is where our Data 360 platform comes into play, which is where the 360 picture of an individual customer is built up. So all the conversations that a specific customer had with that agent are part of this Data 360 platform. So that is then part also of how the agent will continue to respond to that customer. Because to your point, if you asked already a question last week, it's important to refer to that.
Are there any rules in terms of how long you can save that data, as far as you know?
Well, there are definitely rules. For example, here in the European Union, we have the GDPR, and the platform is offering all the capabilities to remain compliant, of course, with those rules. We have the things like right to be forgotten and that sort of things.
Yeah.
So when those rules are in place, yes, we have all the certifications and processes in place.
So it means if you have the right to be forgotten, then you should always be able to actually find that data again and delete it, right?
Correct.
But it also means a lot of tagging, a lot of metadata, all that storing, and
that's a heavy exercise, and that is one that we make a lot lighter for our customers with this Data 360 platform, where that all gets stored. So Data 360 is an important ingredient there.
Redeveloping many of your products on the Data 360 platform, right? Products that weren't on it yet are now being.
That's the underlying data foundation of the portfolio, correct? Yeah.
So you can combine data from sales, from service, from marketing, from HR you have now. I saw.
Yes.
So.
Please don't call it a data fabric. If everybody's doing it.
That's your word. I haven't used it.
No, just trying.
Yeah. No. So we have a name for rebranding our products, but I don't see that we will rebrand it to a data fabric indeed. We are very close to the notion of 360. This is where we started our company 26 years ago as a customer 360 platform. And that's also why we have now Agentforce 360 and Data 360.
But you also visit a lot of customers probably that are already building agents themselves on Google or on AWS or maybe on Claude or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Can you combine it a bit? Are there ways to work together to?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is what we call the interoperability of agents. And we all know that, just like people, agents works best when they work together, right? So they need to be able to delegate work to one another and wait for each other and jam on a certain situation, basically. And that can be between Agentforce agents, also between an Agentforce agent and external agents. So there are all sorts of emerging protocols for that. There is, of course, the model context protocol, but there's also the agent-to-agent protocol. And Salesforce is actually part of the founding consortium of the A2A protocol, together with Google and a bunch of other industry partners. We're reshaping these protocols that include all sorts of things like discoverability and handshakes, right? Because if you're an agent and you need to delegate work to another agent, well, you need also to be able to knock on the door of some registry and say, hey, I need an agent to help me with task XYZ. And then the registry will say, oh, you know what, I have an agent for that, and let me connect the two of you. So that is what this A2A protocol stands for, and that will allow the interoperability between Agentforce agents and basically the whole agentic ecosystem of a customer.
And is this happening in practice already? Because I hear a lot of companies talking about MCP and A2A, but I don't see much on the SaaS level talking together yet.
Yes, it is happening. So we have customers that have already, for example, an FAQ agent. This is a use case that, some time ago, many customers started with, let's do some FAQ, right? Let's feed in some documentation and we'll be able to answer questions. This is the first step they did. And some customers have, built their own. And then they typically call it something like GPT, like customer name GPT, or some acronym like that. And we have actually many customers that don't want to throw away that work, obviously, and that investment is then protected, so that if you then as a seller ask a question, for example, about your product portfolio, hey, can I offer this to my customer, then that question will be rerouted to that homegrown FAQ agent, but the answer will be surfaced to the seller through the Agentforce agent. And that Agentforce agent has many more capabilities, like creating a new opportunity or making changes to the account plan. But that FAQ part is then handled by that other agent.
And when you talk to customers, do you see them come in with the wrong perspective or the wrong focus or the wrong strategy from a technical standpoint? Because you hear a lot of CIOs talking, and sometimes they talk things they heard somewhere and we're not truly if that's accurate. But you see a lot of customers, day to day, and you need to help them on board, or they want something from you, and you need to say, yeah, that's nice, but that's 2040 or something, or.
So mostly what I see is if there is wrong expectations, it's mostly around what kind of processes do you support with these agents. And oftentimes I find that customers are looking for just ways to sprinkle a little bit AI into existing processes and not really rethinking like what are the true problems that we need to solve with this technology. They go back to the existing processes and want to improve that, looking for cost efficiencies, etc. Whereas oftentimes the biggest benefits are actually in doing something else that you weren't doing before with these agents. For example, we just had one customer on stage that showed that they already have agents live on their website. They sell glues and adhesives in every, do-it-yourself store. So you may recognize the situation. You're standing in front of the wall of all these glues, and you have something broken in your house and you want to fix it. Well, what they actually allow you to do now is to take a picture of maybe your chair is broken or whatever. You upload the picture to their agent, and then it will ask you some questions like, okay, you're going to fix this. Is it for indoor, outdoor? Should it be waterproof or not? And then it does a recommendation of, okay, these glues will fit your project. And by the way, take care because maybe there's some safety regulations, etc. Give you a warning. And that's a process that they didn't even have in place. They call it solving the wall of confusion, right? You're standing in front of this wall and you're confused. And that is an example, I think, of how they're introducing a new business process that is just delivering a lot of insights, of course, delivering customer satisfaction, which is so much better.
And I think following up slightly on Koen's question about working together of different agentic platforms and all that stuff, how much of what's behind your MCP servers? I take it you have many MCP servers for different parts of the of the organization. How much of what's behind those MCP servers is available to external sources or external agents that want to use it? Because you obviously have an obligation to your customers not to share anything. So how do you make sure that security and the privacy thing is actually working as advertised?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, Salesforce will also have MCP servers in the platform to support other agents to work with Salesforce. And you're right, that needs to respect all the access rules and the sharing rules and all the privacy that has been bolted in that Salesforce platform. And that is precisely what we do. And then in that MCP layer, of course, we require from those other agents that are knocking on our doors to authenticate themselves and identify themselves. And we need to map that in that layer to the security rules that have been built inside of Salesforce.
So do you determine which external agentic platform or agents can actually access the data behind those MCP servers, or how does it work? Do you have a list of things that are allowed and not allowed, or is it on the fly? Is it do you do behavioral analysis, or what's the?
Well, of course, it is still also in our customers' responsibility to decide whether or not and how they set up this MCP server and where they connect it to. Right? Setting up an MCP server doesn't mean that you're opening the floodgates to the whole internet and say, okay, here's my Salesforce instance, go fetch some data. So they still control, of course, also to whom they expose this MCP server and what they then do with it. It is in the connection to the MCP server that the other side needs to authenticate themselves, and then we will make sure that
And is it on an organization layer? So that, I don't know, that an ERP vendor comes into Salesforce to take a lot of sales data, for example, or is it on a user level that it authenticates as a sales manager that wants to do something in an ERP?
No, that is at the level of granularity that is defined also in Salesforce, of course, which can be even on a field level.
Okay.
Yeah, because I really hope we're not going to get into the same thing that we still have as open S3 buckets, for example, which are still a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want open MCP servers, right? That's something we don't want.
Yeah.
No, we've learned from all the mistakes from over the past. That would be nice.
Yes, that's the idea. Yeah.
Well, you never know, because with new technology, I see a lot of the market making the same mistakes. So rushing into things, not really thinking about it very well, and then think, I'm not very happy with it, and then being very disillusioned and saying, I don't want to use it anymore. So do you see?
Well, at Salesforce, we develop our products always together with our customers. So we always follow also the requirements and the needs of our customers. We don't just push new technology out there because we think we need to push this new technology out there and be quick. So we have a lot of beta and pilot customers that we co-create these new technologies with, and we follow also their requirements. And I can tell you that none of our customers, of course, want an open MCP server that just dump everything out there.
No, but if you ask them, they don't want an open S3 bucket either, but they still have, right? So that's the.
So I cannot comment on how the S3 bucket was developed, but it's not the way that we develop our products.
That's good. That's good to know. I think a lot of people are wondering that as well. So.
And coming back to wrap up a bit on the customer expectations, sometimes they come in, they just want too much. That's basically what you were saying, right? The expectations of the management is sky high, and you need to narrow it down a bit, to what's practical and what's easy to implement.
Well, I mean, sometimes also customers have the expectation that everything just works magically out of the box, and we can go as quick as we can, and we try to always, reduce development cycles and allow our customers to innovate quicker. For example, the agent I just spoke about took 9 weeks to build, which I think, for a multimodal security agent is not bad. But it's not 3 days either. So I want to take away this notion that everything just works with the snap of a finger. There is still work to be done, specifically, of course, in the testing and the refinement and the optimization of those agents. So these are the type of development cycles that we now recommend to our customers.
My final question is this: I see a lot of, we went from waterfall development to sprints and agile and all that stuff, and I see that now with Agentic, at least from my perspective, you see. We're moving back towards the mindset that you also used to have for the waterfall development, right? You need to think about the entire thing before you start. Is that something that you see as well? In not necessarily, we don't want to go back to that old way of doing things, but the conceptually, the mindset is that you need to think better now about what you actually want as an end state before you actually start.
Yeah, so I often advise our customers to think big, but then still start small and scale fast. So that agile methodology and mindset still is very much there, but you obtain the best success if you indeed think through how you are going to use this new technology and how you're going to embed it into your company. The build phase then, I would agree with you, is a little bit larger than very agile technologies that we've seen there. But after that build phase, you're definitely not ready. Then this refinement process starts, and then we can tap into all those learnings we had from the agile methodologies.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Reinier, for this insight into how agents are developed and your customers are adopting.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching. We'll be back with more from Agentforce World Tour in Amsterdam.
Thank you for watching TechScene TV, the channel about enterprise technology that brings you IT insights and analyses from events all around the globe. We cover everything, everywhere. Visit techscene.eu for more written in-depth articles and analysis, or keep watching techscene.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels and share your favorite videos with your colleagues. We'll see you soon.